Hello and welcome to another episode of the Muslim Scholars Perspective on Human Rights program. My name is Zainab Malakuti and I'm Assistant Professor of Human Rights. My special guest today is Dr. Rahim Nobahar. He is an Associate Professor at Shahid Beheshti University in Tehran and has received the highest degree of Islamic jurisprudence, Ijtihad, from the seminaries in Qom in 2002. He obtained his Ph.D. in criminal law and criminology and has taught different courses, including Islamic law, philosophy of law, and Islamic theology. Dr. Nobahar has published several books and articles basically in Islamic studies. Currently, he is the head of Department of Islamic Law at Shahid Beheshti University. The purpose of this episode is to look at the relationship between Islam and authoritarianism. In fact, authoritarianism is defined as the blind submission to authority and the repression of individual freedom of thought and action. I will ask that, is there any connection or contradiction between Islam and authoritarianism, and what was the reaction of Islamic religious leaders, in particular Shia Imams, towards the authoritarian regimes in the history of Islam? Thank you for joining us. Hello and welcome to the Muslim Scholars Perspective on Human Rights program. Thank you, Dr. Nobahar, for accepting our invitation to speak in this episode about authoritarianism and Islam. Let's start with my first question. What is the relationship between authoritarianism and Islam? Is there any connection or contradiction?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you for having me. I'm honored indeed to having chance to be a part of this beautiful program. I would say certainly the relationship is contradiction. And this is to me for a variety of reasons. First, because the nature of Islam and even every single authentic and genuine religion is a matter of, choose and choosing, is a matter of interaction with metaphysics, the matter of interaction with the transcendence. And as you know, the issue of choice and option and free will in all sorts of authoritarianism somehow either ignored categorically or weakened. In fascism, in totalitarianism, in extreme nationalism, somehow the identity of the person or individual is ignored. But in religion, including Islam, what is important is the person, is the individual. So in this regard, I would say that because authoritarianism often ignores, having a interactional, mutual relationships and just want submission and obedience from the people, maybe in majority of cases as a means, while in religion, in every single authentic religion, the question is the reversed. Another reason is that in Islam, individual, or let me say person, is very, very important. While in authoritarianism, person or individual, again, is either marginalized or denied at all. Look at the, overwhelming majority of Quranic verses, they often address the people, the persons, the individuals, rather than the society and or a state. Of course, we are quite sure that the society in Islam is important, but not in a way that we can ignore the significance of individual or person. When using the word person along with individual, I want to mention and remind to your mind the very great philosophy which is often named as personalism. In personalism, the person is important rather than individual. What is the difference between individual and person? Literally, there might be no difference. But philosophically speaking, when talking about person, we talk about an entity which is connected with the society. In its religious version, personalism points out to an entity which is connected with the transcendence, while by individual, we often look to an entity, an atomistic entity, which is separated from the society, the community, the civic values, the culture, the tradition, and maybe the transcendence. So, Islam cannot agree with authoritarianism because the significance and importance it gives to individual, or let me say person.
Thank you so much. Dr. Nobahar, can we say that in authoritarian regimes, people are being brainwashed?
Certainly, I would say that yes. If you take a look at textbooks talking about uh, authoritarianism, they often talk about brainwashing, and that, as I pointed out, they want people not as ends, rather as means. So the means should not think. Means should follow you. You know, let me say not only authoritarian regimes, but also authoritarianism in all its versions. It might be common and prominent and dominant in a very small and single, you know, institute. It might be a prominent view in the family. It is not only the matter of, political regimes, in general. They often want people, train people, ask people to obey them, to follow them blindly. While in Islam, the value, great value, is given to contemplation, reflection, thinking. Look at our tradition. We learn from our tradition that تفكر ساعة خير من عبادة 70 سنة. To think and contemplate and reflect only 1 hour is better than 70 years worship. This is Prophet, peace be upon him. This is Quranic verse. In numerous Quranic verses, a very high significance and value is given to thinking. قل إنما أعظكم بواحدة أن تقوموا لله مثنى وفرادى ثم تتفكروا. Contemplate. This is the teaching of the Prophet and Quran. While in authoritarian view, as you pointed out, the issue of contemplation and reflection is either negated and rejected at all, or weakened to a lower possible degree.
Thank you so much. Following your discussion, so you believe that there is not any force in Islam?
As I pointed out in my first question, the whole project of religion is a deliberative choice. Look at the ceremonies we have here and there, every ceremony, basic ceremonies. They should be deliberative, they should be intentional, they should be chosen by free will. If you worship for the sake of someone, neither ethically nor religiously we can give you any value or positive evaluation to such an action, which at the end it has been come from the force and compulsion.
Thank you so much. So, um, I believe that people must enjoy their lives in both a public sphere and private sphere. The issue of privacy is significant. So my question is that, is there any relationship between authoritarianism and privacy?
Of course there is. I have to mention that in every normal society we do need to a public sphere versus a private sphere. And this division is the very nature of human being. We as human like to be, you know, anonymous sometimes. And we need and we do feel that we need to be publicized. So, in one hand, we need to be anonymous, which needs that we do need privacy. And at the same time, we have public freedoms and liberties to come to the society and show ourselves and to learn from one another, teach one another, and so on. So, privacy and necessity of privacy comes from the very, very essence and nature of human being. And Islam and every single authentic and genuine religion cannot ignore this substantive and actually normal need. While in authoritarian view, the issue of privacy is often ignored again. Because privacy, some aspects of privacy, let me, for example, say about mental privacy or bodily privacy or communicative privacy, is something which is a source of danger and risk for authoritarian regimes and the states. Look at Mussolini as an example of fascism, which is under the general title of authoritarianism. He told the church that when a child comes to the world, you are allowed to do baptism to him or her, and then I will give back it to you for funeral ceremonies. This is the only area and place he recognized for religion. But the whole part of the life of man, according to him, should be under the supervision of the state. This is fascism. This is totalitarianism somehow. Of course, I know that there are some differences between authoritarianism, totalitarianism, fascism, nationalism, extreme nationalism, and so on. But right now, I'm just focusing on general view and general points. Different aspects of privacy is recognized in Islam: mental privacy, bodily privacy, communicative privacy, and so on. But I would say yes, authoritarianism is the very enemy of privacy in all its aspects and kinds.
Many thanks for your explanation. I'm going to return to the issue of Islam. I want to ask, what was the reaction of Shia Imam towards authoritarianism throughout the history of Islam?
First of all, I have to mention that unfortunately, Islam faced in reality the problem of authoritarianism. There were, and there still are, regimes and states who actually are carrying on the name of Islam, but they are authoritarian. But as long as our righteous leaders, infallible imams are concerned, we know that in reality and in practice, they were against any sort of authoritarianism. Look at Imam Ali alayhi salam. We can write thousands of pages about the manners, traditions, sayings from him, which is against authoritarianism, whether that we consider the time he was in the power or the time he was not. Just as an example, in the Battle of Siffin, when he came across the city of Anbar, which was a city close to the border of Iran and Iraq nowadays, some farmers just warned Imam alayhi salam in the way of respecting him. But Imam Ali alayhi salam reproached them, condemned them for this behavior. The content of the saying of Imam was that, why do you disrespect yourself? You are a very servant of God, and I am the same. It doesn't make sense to humiliate, to disdignify yourself for me as a caliph. This neither helps you nor your caliphs and leaders. The Prophet, peace be upon him, himself used to sit with every single person, not only with his companions, but also with his servants. It is mentioned over and over again that when a stranger came from out of Medina to Medina, the city the Prophet, peace be upon him, was in, even in cases Prophet, peace be upon him, was with his companions, the way he sat, the way he talked, the way he behaved in no way showed that he is the Prophet. We have read in many traditions that those strangers asked the community and the population, who is the Prophet among you? Who is the Prophet among you? This was the Prophet. Look at Imam Hussein alayhi salam. What is the core of his message? To battle a regime which used to ignore the people, to ignore the rights of the people to choose. Look at the letters people of Kufa sent to Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his response. Again, you see that not only in the mind of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, who was and is a very right followers of the Prophet and his father Imam Ali alayhi salam, peace be upon them, but also in the letters of the people of Kufa. The problem was an authoritarian regime who occupied the whole community and society and occupied everywhere and denied the right of the people. And look to other to our other Imams. They gave a great price. They were ready to be marginalized, to be imprisoned, to be martyred, but not assist or help an authoritarian state. They paid too much price. And they taught us that it is not permissible. It is not permissible to help, to assist an authoritarian state. Despite many teachings regarding communication and interaction and tolerance with the people of other faith, those who don't think like you, those who don't believe to you. But in a hadith, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, referring to Umayyad caliphs, says, لا تعنهم على بناء مسجد. Even don't help them regarding building a mosque. Because a mosque, as a symbol of Islam, should be the very, very manifestation of justice and freedom, not compulsion, not authoritarianism, and so on.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nobahar, for your time and consideration.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate Dr. Nobahar's contribution to this program. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching and listening to us.